As former president of the I Can't Stand Men Brigade, I very quickly effed around and found out I'm not grown enough to really handle dark romance and dark contemporary reads and things, because when I was just about 20 pages in and I found out that the men were penalized by this all woman tribe for violating the rules by having male their male parts cut off and shoved up their anal canal. I very quickly realized that was like the third time in the first chapter where I was like, maybe I'm not grown enough to be able to handle this genre yet. You have this tribe of women that they are in like this super far off island, and they're serious about their business. Okay, there's a reason why it's solely women. They're protecting each other from intruders, visitors that come and act like, oh, I'm here because I want to help you guys, people that try and basically come colonize and be like, listen, I know all you women over here living peacefully, but here we are, we're men with our slinging, and we can help you guys improve your lifestyle. The problem comes about this type of women are really living in dark. These men show up, and usually they just off men when they show up. They use them for what they're good for, and they just off them. This tribe of men show up, and they are a different breed. They're attractive in a different way. They have different smells to them that entice these women. They're very smooth with their mouths, very charming. Luckily for the women, there's older women in this community. So the older women are like, hey, listen, ain't nothing new underneath the sun, okay? So when these people come and they try to smooth talk their way into changing the way we have our civilization organized, I'm not going to let you young hoes be the demise of us. When I say there's an instance, and I'm really not spoiling anything because this book is about 200 some odd pages long. It is available Kindle Unlimited. It's available paperback on Amazon as well. There's a bunch of different ways that you guys can cop this book by this author. This was my first time reading a book by this author as well. So like I said, new to the genre, new to the author, new to dark fantasy. I'm new, so I didn't know what to expect. I'm going in with a fresh set of eyes. Y'all, when I say a hard head makes a soft ass, the way that these women were like, you know what? When a man comes in and a man tries to disrupt everything that we've worked hard to preserve for generations, like this isn't like some newfound, oh, we've been doing this for 15, 20 years, it works. No, they've been doing this shit for hundreds of years. Like they have it down to a T. When a new man comes in and he's like, hey guys, listen, we're going to swindle these women and we're going to dismantle what they have going on. We're going to turn the young women against the old women. And that's how we're going to start our infiltration process. And what's interesting is at first, it kind of sort of works because you have chatter amongst the younger women of like, girl, do you see his throbbing between his legs and his pants? Girl, I want a piece of that. I wonder if they could sit here and lick us this way and do this and do that. When you talk about sexualizing the hell out of men, the way that it was flipped in this chapter, I don't think I've ever seen men be sexualized and almost catcalled the way that they did. And I was like, the author really put a different twist on this because usually you'll see, think of it this way. Think about if you're like a young woman and you're going to your new man's house. He lives in the projects. Say you're in New York City. It's like 30 floors tall. You're walking up to go see your new man, whatever. He like, oh, babe, just come up. You like, they it's niggas outside, like it's like 40 niggas outside. And he like, man, don't pay no niggas no attention, just come on. And you actually listening because you young and dumb. And you walking by and you hear, hey yo ma, hey yo ma. And after like the fifth or sixth cat call, you're like, damn, this is kind of aggressive. I kind of sort of feel like that's the way the author flipped this, but it was in the reverse. It was the women being like, girl, you see him standing over there? Yeah, we done already charged his ass guilty. When they go ahead and they have him go stand up there like a statue, we gonna jump on him and we gonna try and break his thing off. I think a part of it that made me feel uncomfortable was there was a thin line between, oh, is justice being served or are y'all essaying these men? And again, as a former president of the I Can't Stand Men Committee, maybe I'm getting a little sensitive as I'm aging. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe what it was is I am not used to seeing violent acts performed on men. And I'm not, oh God, how do you say it in this time and age? I'm not trying to normalize it. I'm not saying like, oh, you guys should start cutting these niggas' feet off and shove them up their ears. Like, I'm not saying that. I just think And again, I'm new to the genre. So if you guys say this is what usually happens, or if this is commonplace and you guys are this, I'm gonna say desensitized. Fuck it. I'm gonna say desensitized. If you guys are desensitized to it, okay, cool. I think I'm not used to consuming that. I'm just not used to consuming it to make things a little bit more of an even playing field. I'm also not used to reading anymore about women being essayed. So I'm not going to say they. It's left to the interpretation of the reader. I think this was one of those books where it really made me look at how calculated some men can be, especially if they're wanting to come in and change the structure of things. Not even just men, but people in general. Like sometimes you'll have a job and things are cool. When Friday comes, you guys are like, you know what? We're taking things lax on Friday. We're not doing too much, whatever. Let them hire that new manager that comes in and they want to switch everything up. Now all of a sudden you can't take your lunch at whatever time you want to. Now all of a sudden we got to request PTO 4 weeks in advance versus how before I could tell you 3 days in advance. When people come in and want to restructure stuff, they do it very systematically. And I like seeing the way that sometimes culture and traditions are in place for a reason. Those previous generations of women may have been a little bit more lenient on men when it came to men just talking too damn much, either talking too much or thinking that they were going to outsmart these women. I really started to analyze maybe their tactics are so aggressive so that y'all don't try this no more. And then there wasn't just one that tried it. It was like they made an example out of him to the point where old boy is standing off, and everybody's just like, "Yeah, we use him as our personal toy, basically." To the point where Brody's area went basically just raw. Like skin is dang near peeling. Like it is. It's a sight. Okay, it's a sight because so many women are mounting him and having their way. I know he was funky as hell. Um, Ooh, it was a lot for me. So I will say this probably was one of those books where I realized I probably should have stayed my not grown ass off in the corner or whatever genres I usually be reading. I think I will say if you are a lover of dark fantasy, because I have gone and looked at what dark fantasy and different contemporary like dark reads consist of, I think this is probably like the yum to your yum, however y'all say that shit. This is probably that if this is the genre that you're used to. Now, if you're used to reading books that are let's okay, I've become a little bit more of a mood reader. I've been reading more of like Christian romance, Christian fiction, self-help books, sort of dibbling back into poetry. I don't know what I've been reading, but you get the gist of what I'm talking about. I'm reading books like that. Books like what's one that I read the other like 2 weeks ago? Tuesday's not coming, Monday's not coming. Y'all know what book I'm talking about. So books that are probably a little bit more YA, I'm leaning more towards. All Her Little Secrets, books like that. So I think with me becoming a mood reader, it was such a contrast that I was like, where's the Vaseline? I feel like I'm in jail and you just show you just shove something unexpected up there. Like when the GYN's like, oh, it's just gonna be a little pitch. And I'm like, bitch, I've been bleeding for 3 days. So I do feel like I gave it a fair chance. I don't think I'm the intended audience for this book, and that is okay. Not every book, not every book is going to land into the lap of the intended audience. I think the writing was great. I think the description was great, and I think the author did their job of scaring my ass right out of that book because it was very descriptive. I'm very imaginative to the point where I'm one of those people where when I'm reading a book, I literally see it. And I was just like, damn, my stomach is churning. So I didn't end up finishing it entirely because I just realized bandwidth wise, I probably can't handle it. And it's not like I just picked it up and put it down just once or twice. I tried for an extended few days of like, okay, let me see if maybe I'm building up the gall. I'm just that way though. Even when Snowfall came out, everyone was like, oh, it's so good, it's so good. And I was like, okay, cool, let me give it a try. But I didn't give it a try for like 2-3 years after it came out. When they hit like that second scene where old boy got taken off to the room and he was making them sounds, and they was like, he ain't in there beating him, he in there giving it to him. Y'all, I turned that shit off and Snowfall has never fell in my TV since. So just to give you an idea, I'm not used to gory. Ooh, I'm not used to it. I'm just not. I'm not used to it. So there's that. I do still recommend that other people read the book because, like I said, I'm not the intended audience. That does not mean that you shouldn't read the book. That doesn't mean the book was bad. That doesn't mean that it wasn't written well. I think it was written so well that it helped me to realize I should probably stick to what I'm used to for now until I become more adventurous. Now, once we get closer to Halloween, I'll probably be like, all right, I'm grown enough, I'm ready. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll be ready. But I'm just going through like this transition period internally, and I'm doing things a little different. I'm reading and consuming different content. My music preference has started to change as well. Still open to new things. I'm still open to new recommendations because I do want to try to strengthen different muscles mentally, emotionally. Still want to try new things. I just also think that when people are like, "Oh, I didn't finish a book," it has such a bad connotation because it's like, "Well, how can you review it and how can you talk about it if you didn't read it in entirety?" Because time is finite. I believe that if you go out to eat and if you get a plate of food and if you're just like, "God damn, you pulled the whole thing of salt in here," it's a little too salty to me. If I slide the plate over to someone's boyfriend or my husband or my girlfriend or whoever, they might be like, "French, you okay? Because this shit tastes good." That don't mean that the plate of food was bad and the chef needs to be fired and oh my god, I'm about to go online and write a crazy review. It ain't that. I'm just grown enough to know I've been reading and reviewing books for almost since 2018. We are in 2025. That is 7 years. I know now that it is okay to talk about what made you nervous about a book, what made you feel like, okay, I can't I can't fully stomach it. It is okay to walk away because I truly feel like if you force yourself to read a book and you're like, I don't think this is my cup of tea, if you force yourself to read it in entirety, you almost develop this sense of like resentment. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but sometimes if you read a book and if you're just like, damn, like, I don't know. I think that's why some of these readers be going and leaving them like 1 star, 2 star reviews and be like, oh my God, this was so this and this was so that. Like I saw a reader doing that in one of these book groups the other day. They were like, this author, her first 2 books were so good, but this was so sloppy and this was this and AI this. And I think that's why people be jump into them aggressive old conclusions about books is because you sat there and you forced yourself to read something knowing darn well you probably should have left it alone after you opened the chapter up. I've had reviews like that on my books. I had someone leave a review like a month ago and she was like, this was not urban fantasy. This is not what I was looking for. The whole time I was like, damn, sis, it really wasn't urban fantasy because on the side of my book description for my favorite ex, it literally says a short story urban fiction. So I'm not sure why you thought it was urban fantasy. Readers are crazy. Authors are crazy. We're all crazy in this book community because we're all just trying to read and escape and find out what helps us to feel good, what makes us feel like we want to continue on reading. Reading is definitely a hobby. It's a journey. It's an experience. And I'm here for all the different bumps in the roller coaster with it. There's highs, there's lows to it, especially when you're getting in front of a camera and you're talking about books. You never know what experience you're going to have. You never know how your feelings and thoughts are going to be received. Um, these are just my thoughts and my feelings. I'm just French Charles Brooks. Let me know if you guys read this book in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts were. Let me know, am I just being a baby? Maybe I'm just being a baby, bro. Let me know if I need to grow up a little bit more. I'll see you guys in the next book review.